This video will take you through Geometry Review Day 1 packet for the practice test, and we are going to focus on questions 1 through 5 here. So these questions all came from old exams in Common Core Geometry, and the first one says, which object is formed when right triangle RST shown below is rotated around leg RS? So we're taking this triangle and rotating it around this side, which means that point T would be rotated and come over here. If you were looking, say, at the bottom at ST itself, and I rotate it, it goes here, then here, then here, and it continues to go around and around and around, right? And that bottom shape now becomes a circle. So the base is a circle, and I can indicate that by going like this. But then point R actually stays where it is, so then you can see the shape we have is a cone, choice 4. In number 2, we've got these vertices of triangle JKL, and it says, under which transformation is the image not congruent? So you don't even have to plot these. If you want to, you can, but here it just is describing different transformations. A translation is a slide. So if I slide a triangle over and say up, it's still the same size. So that's not our choice. The next one says a rotation of 180. So rotation is a turn. So if I take a triangle and then I turn it, it's still the same size. The next one is a reflection, which is a flip. So if I start with a triangle and I reflect it, it's still the same size, but if I dilate it, that's a shrink or a grow, meaning I start small and I'm scaling it up by a factor of 2, meaning multiplying all the side lengths by 2. So choice 4 is the correct answer here. Does not preserve distance, therefore it's not congruent. Number 3 says the center of circle Q has coordinates of 3, -2, and it passes through R at 7, 1. What is the length of the diameter? So if we think about a circle real quick with the center at Q, and the circle itself passes through a point R, this piece is representing the radius, but we want the length of the diameter, and the diameter of a circle goes all the way across. So I need to find out the length of 2R in order to have the diameter, meaning 2 times the radius. So when I look here, I can find the length between these 2 points by using that little table that we've used before, change x, change y, and then a squared plus b squared equals c squared will give me the length. So I can calculate change x by finding my x coordinates and subtracting them. Change means to subtract. So I have 3 minus 7, which gives me -4. And then find the y coordinates and subtract them as well. -2 minus 1 is -3. And then we just plug these values in for a and b, but we don't use negatives. So we're going to say drop the negatives. We can drop the negatives because when you square a negative, it's a positive. Negative times negative is a positive. So it's the same thing as writing the positive value. 4 squared plus 3 squared equals c squared. So when you type the left side into your calculator or do it in your head, you get 25 equals c squared. To get just c, we have to square root both sides. So c is 5. But remember that that is representing the radius, because we found the length between QR. So if this piece is 5, then I know if I want the diameter that I have to double it. So diameter equals 2 times 5, which gives us 10. Choice 3. Flip it over and we'll see 2 more questions for this video. Number 4 says, in the diagram below, congruent figures 1, 2, and 3 are drawn. Which sequence, meaning more than one thing, which sequence of transformations maps 1 onto 2 and then 2 onto 3? So if I look at mapping 1 onto 2, I see that D is moving over and up. C is moving over and up. B is moving over and up. And every single time I'm drawing those arrows in, it's the same distance and direction every single time. So when we move or slide, that's a translation. So I'm going to get rid of choices 1 and 2 because I have a translation followed by something. So now to map 2 onto 3, you can easily see that this is a turn. I turned the figure. So between a reflection and a rotation, I have to decide which one is a turn. A reflection is a flip. You flip the image. Just like when you see your reflection in the mirror, it's the opposite of you, it's the flip. A rotation is the turn. So choice 4. In this next one here, it says, as shown in the diagram below, the angle of elevation from a point on the ground to the top of the tree is 34 degrees. So elevation means to look out and then look up. So we're at this point on the ground looking at the top of a tree, and it's 34 degrees. If the point is 20 feet from the base of the tree, so this point is 20 feet from the base of the tree, what is the height of the tree to the nearest tenth? So I'm looking for this missing piece, and when I have one angle, one side, and a missing side, I'm going to use trig. So I circle my angle and I label my sides. The right angle is down here, so I know that across from that is the hypotenuse. Always start with the H. Okay, hypotenuse is always opposite of the right angle. If I drag my 34 over here, then that's the opposite side of the angle that we have. And therefore the 20 must be the adjacent. So when I'm looking at this, I have X representing O and 20 representing A. O and A tell me to use tangent. So I have tangent of something equals a fraction. The angle always goes inside the parentheses. So in this case, it's 34. And then tangent tells me that we should have opposite over adjacent. SOHCAHTOA. So in this case, our opposite side is X, and 20 is the adjacent. So then, because X is in a fraction, I want to place a 1 underneath tangent to make that a fraction in order to cross multiply. X times 1 gives me X equals, now we have 20 times tangent of 34. You'll be able to type this into your calculator. If you are using a TI Inspire or a TI 83 or 84, you'll want to make sure that it's in degree mode. Or even any calculator on your phone, make sure it's in degree mode in order to calculate this, because otherwise you might get negative values or crazy, ridiculous decimals that are smaller than 1. So check your mode. If you're using a school calculator here at Odyssey, then we've already changed your mode for you, so you don't have to worry about that. So 20 times tangent of 34 in your calculator gives you 13.4901. And it says to the nearest tenth, so the 4 looks to the 9, and now it becomes a 5. 4 and above, give it a shove. 5 below, let it go. So that 9 is the 5 and above, so you give that 4 a shove. Choice 3. All right, we'll see you in a minute for the next set of questions, numbers 6 through 10.